You are listening to the Rewrite the Rules podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Beth.
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Harriet.
Rewrite the Rules podcast releases a new episode every Monday, and we're all about helping you achieve a happier and healthier relationship with food and your body.
We're real people with real life experiences, so you can expect us to be keeping it raw and real in each and every episode.
Don't forget to follow and subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you use, and share the love with a friend that you think will love this podcast.
Now, let's get on to the episode. Hello guys, and welcome back to episode 35 of the Rewrite the Rules podcast. I hope you're all doing well, and today you have little old me bringing you a solo episode. So yes, it's slightly strange not having Harriet and Beth with me today, never having done an episode alone, but I really do hope that you all enjoy it. I'm so excited to be chatting to you lovely listeners today, and I thought today's episode could be an honest chat through the biggest struggles of recovery in sort of my experience versus the things that you gain. So I'm going to, as always, be open, honest and raw, revealing what I truly struggle with the most during my recovery to help any of you out there, embarking on the journey of recovery, and maybe you're not knowing what to expect, or maybe to give you comfort, for anyone struggling right now. But then also the flip side is, of coming through the other side and, what I've gained from recovery. So this story, of course, has a happy ending, I promise. So yes, let's get into it. So I want to get started, and I, of course, just want to give a trigger warning. I am talking about weight, I'm talking about food, mental struggles that I face. So please, if this is triggering for any of you, I completely understand. We have lots of other episodes to listen to, but I would hope that you would stick around, because this is an episode to help anyone out there in a difficult place to feel maybe less alone, and to give you the hope that recovery is truly amazing, because it may not feel like it right now, but it is, it really is. So yes, let's get started. I'm going to talk through sort of a list of my struggles, and then at the end is going to be the happy ending of what I gained. So let's get into it. Let's kick it off. The first one, my biggest struggle during recovery, one of them was letting go of weight loss / striving for the perfect, in quotation marks, perfect body. So this is something that took me a really long time. I think I've spoken about before on here that in the beginning of my recovery I joined a said weight loss group. The reason why I went to this weight loss group wasn't because I wanted to lose weight, it's because the ethos of the weight loss group was that you were relearning how to eat all food groups in a healthy way, learn a new mentality, no longer cutting out food groups. So that's why I did it. But I didn't realise for a long time that even though I had learned to eat all food groups, really trying hard not to feel guilt with food, I still was chasing weight loss, because this weight loss group obviously came with weigh-ins, and it sort of got, however many months down the line, and I realised that, hold on a minute, I think I've kind of got obsessed with seeing how many pounds have dropped off on the scale, and this isn't why I did this. And I had to really, really learn that to really, truly heal my relationship with food and how I saw food and my relationship with my body, I had to leave, I had got what I wanted out of it. I had learned that I could eat all foods. I no longer had to feel guilt for that. All food groups did well for my body. I felt like I was healthier, I was happier. But still, I wasn't letting go of that weight loss, and that was like a whole other, like when I ended that weight loss group, it was like, boom, you're faced with something else now. Now you really, really have to deal with the changes that come with your body in recovery, and that weight loss and recovery, they don't go hand in hand. You have to choose where you want to be, what you want to do, and you can't be chasing weight loss if you want to truly recover, because weight loss comes with restriction. Restriction can lead to binging. And I was still whilst I was with this said weight loss group, I was still having quite a lot of binges, and I always wondered why. So yeah, that was one of my biggest struggles, and also striving for the perfect body. Look, Hans, you're never going to have the perfect body. The perfect body doesn't exist. You may think it does from what we see on social media, but let me give you a little insight. You know, half the time we don't even know that those people have had, you know, said surgical procedures, or they genetically have, you know, they're very different to the way that our body is. Maybe they do have this natural body that we perceive to be perfect, but I guarantee they probably don't think it's perfect themselves. So, you know, we need to step back from that, and we need to realise our body fluctuates. We are humans, you know, so that's one really big struggle that I faced. Number two on my list of struggles was the sporadic binges. We love the sporadic binges, and I thought that going into recovery, I was like, oh, I'm never going to binge again. Yeah, was I wrong? Like, I couldn't have been more wrong. And it's because it doesn't happen like that, but I really, really struggled with it, and it really made me question my recovery, and it made me question, is this working? Is it ever going to work? And it really disheartened me sometimes, and it sent me into confusion where I thought, hold on a minute, aren't I doing what's right? Aren't I doing what I'm supposed to be doing in recovery? Why the hell am I still having these sporadic binges? And literally, they will come out of nowhere, you know. You can be on the track to what you think is a binge-free life, and then boom, in comes a binge. But that is one of the biggest struggles that I faced. And for anyone out there, just know that it's such a gradual journey, and you've gone quite, you know, I went 4 years, I don't know, maybe it was 4 years, with an unhealthy relationship with food, and then came the binging. So that's not gonna just switch off overnight. You have nothing to feel guilty for. Your body is almost going into this state of, hold on a minute, don't you normally take away this food that you're giving me that I haven't been allowed for however long? So it's like, it's preempting a binge almost, because it's in fear that you're going to take away this food. Your body isn't used to it, and your mind isn't used to it. So please don't be disheartened. And for anyone struggling out there, you know, it took me a long, long time to be binge free. Yeah. So that was another thing that I really struggled with. What I struggled with was determining what was overeating versus what was a binge. I felt like it was like a minefield in my mind of trying to figure out, hold on a minute, am I overeating or am I binging? And again, it's such a personal thing. And I think it's because overeating, to anyone that's restricted and then is binging, overeating is this really scary thing, but we have to understand that. I think that overeating for me now, you know, I have times when I eat more. I have times when I go out for dinner and I'm a lot hungrier, and I maybe go overboard and I feel really full. But in the beginning, in recovery, I probably would have been really scared that was a binge, and then I would have felt guilty for it, and all of those feelings would resurface for me. And again, that took a long time. It took a long time for me to process. But again, it's having forgiveness. It's, for me, the way that I dealt with this was, if I could get to a point of stopping, because my binges, I could never stop. I actually had to take myself to bed to stop a binge. If I could get to a place where I was like, I'm okay now, like, I've overeaten, but I'm full. I'm okay, I can leave it. Or also, this is me, this isn't, you know, I'm not saying that anybody else needs to do this, but if I could almost recite what I'd overeaten on, then I was like, I'm okay with that, because my binges, I could not tell you what I ate. There was so much food that I could not recite back to myself what I ate. And even if you are to binge, there's nothing wrong with it, as I say, but that is, for me, one really big struggle that I had. So I think I just want to tell anybody that's struggling with trying to distinguish if you're overeating or you're binging, you're not alone, you know. 4, a really big one, a really big struggle, was letting go of restriction. And I think I thought I had a handle on it, but subconsciously I think I was still restricting for quite a long time in my recovery, and that's why I didn't gain full recovery for quite a long time, because still, if I had this feeling of I'm going out tomorrow, I would subconsciously eat less. And it wasn't until it got to the day after I went out that I was like, I didn't really eat as much as I should have that day, or I didn't fuel myself properly. And I still didn't really realise that if I was to fuel myself properly, I wouldn't have this anxiety going into social situations where I'm eating, because I was still getting that. And again, I was still having these times where I was probably overeating. It wasn't a full binge, but it was a feeling of overeating to a point of feeling uncomfortable. And that's okay. But again, I think that's quite a difficult feeling in recovery, and you want to feel safe. You know, I wanted to feel safe going into those situations. So yeah, letting go of restriction, it's okay to have a meal out in the evening and eat exactly as normal. Eat carbs for breakfast, eat carbs for lunch, still have snacks. It's okay to eat a full-on meal before you go out for drinks with your friends. And that took a long time for me to get in my head, because it's a lifetime, it felt long, of restricting, you know, and that takes a lot of undoing. But I knew that I had to do that. I knew that I had to stop restricting to gain full recovery, or to get to a place that I wanted to be. So you can do it, you know. That's me telling anyone out there, you can do it. You just have to persevere. And when you feel that little voice in your head saying you're going out, you know, you should eat a little bit less, push past it. And each time you push past it, it's going to get easier, and it's going to become more normal, and you're going to be doing so good for your mind and your body. The next thing, this is number 5, that I really struggled with during my recovery, is other people's opinions. I felt like I really let other people influence me, or, you know, when I was in my recovery, I really had to take it step by step. I had to introduce certain carbs first. I had to introduce certain fear foods next, because then I felt like if it was all put to me at once, I would feel very overwhelmed, and it would cause me to binge. And at the end of the day, we do want to, when we're in recovery, ultimately, if we binge, like I say, it's fine, but we want to get to the end goal of feeling like our binges have lessened. And I would let other people kind of, you know, if I was out with them and I bought my safe foods, which still contain carbs, which was a big thing for me, people would maybe say, oh, you're being healthy, or why won't you just eat what I'm eating, or come on, we're having pizza, come on, we're eating all these snacks which were my fear food, why won't you just eat them? And I wasn't ready yet, and I would eat them and it would overwhelm me, and I would probably go home and I had have a massive binge. And I think, look, it's really good to challenge those things, but take it at your own pace. You know you best. If it's not coming from a place of restriction, if someone's putting a food to you and you just aren't quite ready yet, you know, and that's what was happening with me. It wasn't coming from a place of restriction. It wasn't because I didn't want to. It's because I wasn't ready yet, and I really felt like that was going to overwhelm me. So it's listening to yourself and knowing that you know, even though it may not feel it, because you feel like you're in this place of recovery and you feel like you haven't quite been listening to yourself. And maybe that's what's got you into this position, because I know that that's what I felt like. I felt like I can't trust myself. Surely I wouldn't have got myself to this place of restricting, and it leading to me being in this place where I don't like my body. But in recovery, I think it's different. You know, you want to be really kind to yourself, and it's about listening to you and taking it step by step and assessing, am I saying no to this food because I'm still restricting, or am I saying no to this food because I'm not ready and it's going to cause me to be overwhelmed? I do want to do it in the future, but I'll do it at my own pace. So that's that was my struggle there. So I hope that makes sense. And then my last struggle that I really faced in recovery was exercise. And I think I said this on the last podcast. I've gone a lifetime of exercise being a huge part of my life. Coming from a dancing background, so I did, you know, exercise was, but it was exercise in which I didn't feel like I was exercising. You know, I did certain jobs where I would exercise 6 days a week. So when I danced for a job. That's what I did. And then I did that for 3 years. And when that got taken away from me and I was almost sort of left with, oh, I'm doing an office job, or I just did not know what to do. And I think that that's when I turned to exercise, and I've just always been used to doing it, but then obviously it got obsessive. But I'd also got used to exercising being a job, and I couldn't, if I was tired, I still had to go dance. I still had to do this form of exercise, otherwise I wouldn't get paid. So the sort of cues in my head of telling me, you're tired, you don't need to exercise, listening to my body had gone. And I felt for a very, very long time a lot of guilt when I didn't exercise. I would exercise 7 days a week, and I'd never listen to if my body was tired. And that was the hardest, I'd say the hardest thing that I struggled with gaining sort of, I wouldn't say control, like sort of grabbing a hold of and telling myself that if you don't exercise today, you don't need to feel any guilt for it. You're going to be better off having this rest day because you're exhausting yourself. And I would say since doing that, I have been the healthiest. I've had the most energy. Things like my overall health, I lost a lot of things when I was restricting and exercising not a lot. My period stopped, my hair fell out, I was fatigued, I was constantly cold, and all of that has stopped. So I think it's something that I found very, very hard to admit to myself, that maybe I still have a very unhealthy relationship with exercise in the sense of it being obsessive. But you know, and people probably would have told me it and I wouldn't have listened to them, and I wish I had. But everything happens in its own time, and I'm so glad that I am where I am now. It could have happened a lot sooner. I could have sort of grabbed a hold of that, but I needed to work through certain things in my head, I think. So yeah, they are my main struggles, and I hope that for anybody out there that is dealing with the same things, maybe that helps you in knowing that you're not alone in those struggles. So I want to now give you the real positives of recovery, and I'm going to be giving you things that I gained through recovery. So number one, the first thing that I gained is my self-worth. I always put my self-worth down to how I looked. You know, I walked into any occasion and I defined my self-worth by how other people perceived me in how I looked, you know, how my body was. And true self-worth comes from inside of you. It doesn't come from others' opinions. It comes from you, and no longer relying on what I feel my body gives me. We are so much more than our body. You know, our body is an amazing thing in the sense of it allows us to do so many things. It allows us to experience things. It allows us to make memories. It allows us to have relationships with people, friends, family. It allows us to hug people, all of that stuff. But your worth isn't defined by how skinny you are. Let me tell you that. And when you chase that, you're never going to be happy. So it allowed me to really tune into who I am, apart from that, who I am inside. Your friends love you for who you are, not what you look like. They don't walk away from you and say, I really love her or him because she's got a six-pack or she's got really skinny arms. No, they don't, okay? That's what we perceive up here in our heads. So that is one thing that I gained. The second thing I gained is peace of mind. My God, I always used to think, how would I feel if I didn't have this constant narrative in my head that's running around telling me that I don't look good, that I shouldn't eat this, that I am going to feel anxious when I go out and I drink because all I'm going to want to do is binge when I get home. That peace of mind, that calmness, that is such an amazing feeling. And please persevere with recovery because, yeah, it's the best thing. Also, what I gained is truly being present and involved. I think even when I think of it now, it makes me feel emotional because I used to hate sitting there with family and friends and feeling like I just want to get home. I want to get home because I'm either anxious or I'm telling people that I don't want to eat this food because I've eaten beforehand when I haven't really. I just don't want to eat that because I'm so scared of what it's going to do to my body, or because I've told myself I can't eat it. And I know that everyone is thinking, I know that she wants to eat it. or that's what I'm telling myself in my head. All of that anxiety just made me not be present. It made me not be present. Time with family, time with friends, meals out, parties. And I never really truly enjoyed being out. You're not fully immersing yourself in life if you're allowing those thoughts to grab a hold of you. And yeah, it's amazing when you truly feel present and you don't have those thoughts almost on your back, in the background, whispering in your ear. You know, you're truly allowed or allowing yourself to be involved. So yeah, that's an amazing thing. Also, what I gained is truly enjoying holidays. And God, is that an amazing feeling? Not having that worry when you're away of, I'm going to get a picture taken of me and what do I look like? Or don't get me wrong, they still pop up every now and then, but I do not let them, like I used to, grab a hold of the whole holiday or ruin it. You know, we are humans, you know, we do see a picture of ourselves and we're like, oh God, felt a bit bloated there, or because I'm going to be truthful, but the feeling that I feel of no longer dieting before a holiday, no longer feeling like I can't eat what I want to on holiday. You know, I tell myself I'm going to go on holiday, I'm going to enjoy food, I'm going to come back home, I'm going to be bloated, I may have put on weight, but look, it's life. So yeah, that's another thing. I also gained a new love for food. I swear to God, I forgot what I liked when I was restricting and binge eating. I no longer knew what food I liked, and it's like a new lease of life, being able to go out and being like, oh, I'm going to try this today because I'm not going to feel any guilt for it. Yeah, that's amazing. And being able to enjoy food with others. Also, I gained being in a relationship, you know, and that might sound really strange, but I felt like when I was going through restricting and binging, and I had a really unhealthy relationship with how I viewed myself and food, I just felt like I just really didn't like myself, and it held me back from meeting anyone. It held me back from wanting to be with anyone because I didn't like myself. And I really do feel like for you to truly be in a loving relationship, you have to like who you are, because you can't rely on somebody else to like you. It don't work. It doesn't work, because it doesn't. And yeah, I can say that, you know, once I really started to like who I was, it's almost like I so believe in manifesting, and what you put out into the universe is what you get back. And when you're truly happy, you radiate that happiness and you attract the person that you're supposed to have in your life, which sounds really soppy, but I do really feel like I have gained that. I have gained someone that is truly supposed to be in my life, and a happy, loving relationship. I'm probably going to listen to this and be like, God, Natalie, you're so soppy. But, you know, it is something that I really, truly cherish. So also, I discovered truly who I am. I did kind of touch on this before, but I don't think I really knew who I was because I defined myself by my weight. And I truly discovered being a friend to myself instead of being an enemy. We don't need to be enemies to ourselves, you know. Life is for living, it's not for disliking yourself. So remember that, you know. And also learning to forgive myself. All of this whole journey of recovery, it isn't about being perfect. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to have times of bumps in the roads, things not going the way that you want them to. But it's learning to, first of all, I'm going to forgive myself. Then I'm going to figure out maybe why that happened. And then I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to take that as experience for the next time. You can't constantly punish yourself. You just can't, because that's what you've been doing. You know, restricting yourself, binging, and then restricting the next day is punishing yourself. You don't need to feel guilt for food, you know. So yes, that is my journey through my struggles that I had during recovery versus what I gained. I really hope that this just helps anyone out there and gives you the hope that recovery can be all that you want it to be, no matter how long it takes. I mean, recovery has evolved, and I still feel like I do things now, and I have moments of like sudden epiphanies, like, oh my God, I'm doing this now. Or I have moments of true freedom and doing things that just I never thought I would do, and that still happens now. So it's an amazing journey, and it can be amazing for any of you out there. So I really hope that you enjoyed. Thank you so much for listening. So yeah, I just really hope you enjoyed, and thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye guys.